Hey, it's Tuesday morning. It's 8 o'clock, and that means it's time for Trash Talk.
It
Brandon and
is.
I are both here, and we often reach out to you and have a lot of fun and laughs and stuff. And other times we get involved in something that's very serious, and that's what we're going to do today because we both have been discussing off and on this ongoing issue here in Frisco of the recent stabbing of Austin Metcalf by
Yeah.
Carmelo Anthony, and I guess the first thing that I would throw out was that on the surface, this is pretty much an open and shut case. There were lots of people in the stadium. The one kid, Austin Metcalf, got into a heated discussion with uh, with Carmelo Anthony, who's African American uh, and from a different school, and words were had, and then all of a sudden it erupted into an altercation where Carmelo Anthony pulled out a knife out of his backpack and stabbed to death Austin Metcalf. Uh, Lots of witnesses, so it wasn't like it didn't happen. Even though the papers are required to write the alleged uh, murder. But I mean, I just want to set it up for those people that are watching and following us that are not familiar with our local scene. This doesn't happen very often in our community,
Well,
but it's just, it's like a pebble in a brook. It's like this ripple effect from an altercation that happened, and now what's happening, and who did what, and who provoked who, and who's really the guilty party. Uh, so I mean, that's where it's at, and it's being kept in the front burner of the news here, and
not the
they
news here. It's not just the news here. This has made it nationwide. If anybody
yeah,
watching, and guys, by the way, I apologize. My lighting situation again, it's my fault. There is a light that I'm did not adjust, but I don't care. So there
that's
you
right.
go.
Has nothing to
Um,
do with the conversation.
I just don't care. So it's across the board nationwide. And I want to rewind this a little bit. I want to rewind it a little bit because I think
Okay.
it's really important that we look at what happened, that we look at the facts, because the media, social commentators, even people like ourselves may not we may put too much opinion into the situation and conjecture and theories. And I think it's important that we look at the black and white facts. Facts, not people.
Interesting that you say black and white because that's part of the fuel for the
But it's
fire
part of
is
the
the fact that it
fuel
was a black and white
by
situation.
certain groups, certain individuals of both sides of the fence. Yes, it is the fuel. But let's look at the real issue here. So this is eight, and I got my computer right here just so I don't want to write anything. So on April 2nd in Frisco at a track meet, 17-year-old Austin Metcalf was stabbed by Carmelo Anthony, 17. Okay, here's the timeline. April 2nd, 10 a.m. Austin Metcalf and Carmelo were at a track meet when an argument began. There's no details about the argument in here. There's speculation, and yes, we found out some things later, but an argument. 10 a.m. Metcalf reportedly told Anthony to move away from the Memorial High School's tent. Now, what that means for you guys who can't figure it out, each school is going to have representation of their school and a tent for them to
Right.
be under. Okay. He told him to move away from it. At 10 a.m., 10:02 is what they're saying, Anthony allegedly, well, okay, whatever, reached into his bag. He threatened Metcalf and then stabbed him in the chest. Metcalf was pronounced dead at the scene despite first responders' efforts. Later, on April 2nd, Anthony was arrested and charged with first degree murder. On April 9th, so a mere 7 days later, Anthony was released from jail after a judge lowered his bond. and he was house arrest, essentially. April 10th, the memorial service was held. Now, there's been ongoing since then of talks of what happened, why
Right.
did it happen, how did it happen, you know, bullying talks of, well, Anthony was bullied, Metcalf wasn't innocent in this. And there are witnesses that are kind of saying both stories, to be honest with you. There are witnesses that are sitting there saying, yeah, they had some words. Well, having words is not being a bully. Okay, that's an altercation from both parties. Nobody's painting out Austin to be perfect in his life, period. But does that mean he deserved to get stabbed? No.
Right.
So now we are seeing this situation where the family, Anthony's family, has started a GoFundMe. I think the GoFundMe is over now, which again, I'm going to say I don't I don't necessarily, I mean, I don't have a problem with that because if they've got friends, family, and a support system that wants to contribute to pay for legal fees or whatever, that's fine. It is interesting that not all of that money, as they released in a statement, is going to legal fees, that it's going to be for relocation because of threats, because they have been targeted with swatting. If
Right.
those of you don't know what swatting is, it's when you prank something and they send the SWAT team to your house. Stupid. Okay, let's
Right.
sit there
Yeah.
and stop that.
Fake emergency calls.
Let's stop doing that. Okay, people. That's not funny. There's nothing okay with that. Let's stop that.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of back and forth, and there's a lot of judgment on attitudes from both parties, and whatever. But I think the biggest thing here, man, is number one, there's two 17-year-old boys that are gone. One of them is gone off this earth. The other
Right.
one, his life is ruined. I'm not sitting here,
And,
this
and
is not,
and by the way, he also was a top athlete at his school, and he also was I don't know if he was a 4.0 student
I don't know.
like Metcalf was, but he was a good student. In other words, we aren't dealing with just a juvenile delinquent here. This was a pretty bright kid, but when you go through all the nonsense and everything, why did he feel that his life was so threatened wherever he went that he had to carry a knife in his backpack? Because
And
clearly school policies are no weapons of any kind.
no,
Now,
there's no weapons on campus. Like there's
yeah,
no
so, now some of the witnesses have said that there certainly were words between the two of them, uh, but that Metcalf was telling, like you said, telling Carmelo Anthony that this is the Memorial High area, and you are not from Memorial High. You're from Centennial High, so you're supposed to be over there. The words went back and forth, and Metcalf said, or Carmelo Anthony said to Metcalf, "Don't touch me," and that provoked, Austin Metcalf to, this is a bright kid. He's an MVP of his school, and he's also a 4.0 student. And he said, like, "Oh, you're testing me." So he did. He pushed him. Now Carmelo Anthony is starting to say, "Wait, I just acted in self-defense." Well, that isn't a way to act in self-defense, and B, why did you have a knife in your backpack?
well, the problem here is
Yeah.
number one, you're going to have both sides. You're going to have people that were there that witnessed it, that were in the middle, and saw it, and they're going to tell the truth. You're going to have people in both camps lie. That's the problem. But the other issue is you can't claim self-defense anymore. When you show up to an event where there's no weapons allowed and you have a weapon, and your first reaction is to pull out a knife and stab somebody after being pushed, after being,
Right.
I have some smack talk. After that, You had, and what will the police tell you? This is what the police will tell you. If you've exhausted all efforts to escape, to leave the situation, to get help, and you're still being pursued by an assailant, sure, that's self-defense. But you didn't. You didn't leave. You
Right.
didn't ask for help.
You reached
You-
into your backpack.
right. So now we've got people saying, and these are just people that are either friends of the family or just whatever. Well, he's been bullied this whole time. Is there a record of that? Is there a record of that?
Yeah, yeah,
Because look, and again, if there's a record of that, we can have another conversation about that, and we can sit there and we can start diffusing that and looking at the people that were involved with not helping Anthony out. But if there's no record of that and there's no knowledge of that, then again, I say to you, you brought a knife to school. Look, it is a horrible situation, and I think that no parent wants to ever be in that. I can't imagine that.
right.
And I try to put
Absolutely.
myself in there. I try to sit there and put myself in and Carmela's family's, as a parent, not as a black parent, because I'm never going to understand that. But,
Right.
'cause I'm not black, in case you guys can't tell. But as a parent, I try to sit there and I go, yes, I would still love my son. And yes, I would try to give him the best outcome as possible. But there is a reality. And it would hurt and it would probably kill me. Um, but there's a reality. The parents are not active. Parents sure feel like they're trying to play victim as well, with the least amount of acknowledgement about the fact that Metcalf is dead. They're not saying we feel sorry. This is horrible. They're nothing. And that could be instructed by their lawyers. I don't
Right.
know.
Right.
The reality is there is a group of people that are spinning this as a complete race divide on both sides, on the side, white and black. And the
Right.
reality is it's not about that, guys. It is literally about two 17-year-olds that are gone. One probably in jail for the rest of his life. Two, one dead. The other one's dead.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's why I said earlier that it is a fairly simple scenario and all that is being blown out of shape to
yes,
the point where within a week there was a protest organized by a white, you know, basically I believe a white racist group that came
100%.
here to say that this is a sham, that it is a threat by the white community to against the black community, and the guy who organized the event is from Florida, and he was connected to the January 6th insurrection in Washington. So
Yeah,
I mean,
let's throw this scumbag under the bus. This Protect White Americans was founded by Jake Lang, and
yeah,
Lang was pardoned by President Donald Trump earlier this year on charges in connection with the January 6th Capitol riot. Now, we can
yeah,
go further to find out why Lang sent this out here, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is, look, there's a stupid protest at the stadium by the group Protect White Americans. You can't say that without I don't know what happened to my TV, guys, or my light. My TV just turned on by itself. You can't sit here and have a group protest. I mean, you are coming from out of state to cause a race divide. And the reality is there are people in the black community that are completely blowing Austin Metcalf away, ignoring everything he did, victim shaming, and lifting Anthony up. And the
yeah,
reality is, guys, there are two sides of every story. One kid is dead, one kid did a stabbing. I am not going, I don't know Austin. I never met this 17-year-old kid. I don't know how he was raised. I don't know his family. Same thing with Carmelo. I don't know him. I
right,
don't know his family. I only know what I see. And what I see is kid dead, kid stabbed the kid. That's what I see. Now, if we sit there and we dig deeper and there's other things involved and there's racism involved, Fine. We still have a murder on our hands, and we
Right.
still have a kid who did it.
And we still have to allow for due process because I think what some people forget is the more this peripheral crap is going on, the more opportunity there is for the defense to say my client has been falsely treated and falsely accused and they'll find some kind of a technical reason to
Of
throw the
course,
case out of court, which is then going to really escalate things too. We have to allow for due process and let it roll. Fortunately, this incident we talked about, this protest that this Lang from Florida came to do, nobody showed up. There was only a half a dozen people that showed up on his side. There were far more press and police on site than there were people that were there for one side or the other.
yeah, it was a
And I
complete waste of
applaud the
time.
community for that
It was
because
a
every
complete
time,
waste of,
you know,
it, it was a waste of time. It was a
yeah,
waste of money, and it's just some Floridian inbred,
he's looking
white.
for his 15 minutes of fame. Yeah,
Like go back to that was too loud. Go back to the swamp, and with your third cousin, have a Coors Light, and talk about how you're gonna win the race war. Like, shut up, dude. Shut up.
well, it's unfortunate that situations like this happen. We certainly send our condolences out to the Metcalf family because this is
It's
something that frankly should never have happened. Yeah, young kids start to trash talk each other. You notice I threw in the words trash talk, uh, but level heads will always prevail and
Well,
all.
I think
And Anthony, if he felt like he was threatened in any way, shape, or form, had the right to stand up from that bleacher and just walk away
the biggest
and
thing is
just diffuse the situation. But the fact that that knife was in his backpack, that was the big fault that led to this whole thing in the first place.
that's the problem, and
Yeah,
this is a, I think that as parents, I think I don't know what the answer is. I
yeah,
don't. But I think that we have to do a better job of teaching our sons and daughters, but our sons, how to de-escalate mentally, how to de-escalate emotionally, and how to sit there and in that moment shut it down and do something that is bigger than just exacting a physical altercation. I am not saying we don't teach our sons how to protect themselves and fight. I've been doing it with Luke since he was 3.
you're
But
absolutely right.
But the one thing that I've taught him is we don't bully, number one, but if we have an opportunity to avoid a situation, we avoid it because not every time
Uh,
it's worth
yeah.
fighting, and you're not going to win. You're not
I
every.
have always said there is absolutely nothing wrong when facing an adversary to say, I'm not going there. I'm out of here. I'm
Yeah.
just going to turn
And
around and
look,
you may say I'm a pansy, call me a chicken, whatever you want,
whatever.
but I'm taking the safe way out and just defuse the situation. Just like two people that are in an altercation at a stoplight, and all. If you want heat, then heat's going to happen. If not, turn on your turn signal and just turn right and get out of the situation and
And
go your
you
own.
have an opportunity. Look, if it comes down to, like I said, you're backed into a corner, whether that's literally backed into a corner or you don't see another alternative, fine. I got you. You
Yeah,
go at it and you win. You come out on top.
yeah,
We're not going to kill somebody, but you come out on top. Now, if you got to kill somebody, but this was not that situation. There was
no,
too many opportunities for him to walk away and leave. There was too many alleged teachers and people watching him, I guess. I don't know where they were.
yeah,
And you know what? I understand. You're a 17-year-old boy, you got testosterone, you think you got balls the size of grapefruits, I get it. That's all running through your head.
yeah.
You got to stop it because now your life is over.
That's right. Well, And this unfortunately is an ongoing thing, and we may revisit it as it develops and everything. But
there
we
could be
just
things,
wanted to share it with you.
yeah, there could be things that have happened since we posted this, guys. So
Yeah, yeah. So stay tuned. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening to us, and catch us again next Tuesday, 8 a.m. We'll be right here for you. All right, but make it a good day.